Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Maher Abyad, and you're locked on to another fantastic episode of the SERP Concierge Show. Say what? Oh my gosh, I'm so happy today to have Michael Milas on the show, the SERP Concierge Show. Welcome, everybody. Today's going to be an amazing episode, a topic that actually gets talked about quite a bit. People trying to figure out exactly what to do, how to do it. Google My Business and Google My Business pages for local businesses, and also for SEOs that want to actually do local client consulting to help set up Google Local My Business pages. I got an expert here today. Michael, are you there, buddy?
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. So before we get started, let's try to get to know a little bit more about you, so people can kind of figure out and kind of know, your background and things like that. Tell us, what was, your start into SEO or internet marketing? How did you get started? And, from then to now.
Actually, I built my first website. I was thinking about this just the other day when I was 13 years old. It was a Pokemon fan website.
Nice.
And so I guess that would be my official internet marketing flop, because I'm pretty sure I was the only one to ever see that website. But I think that just kind of got me into it. Many years later, I kind of fell into the whole, make money online from home kind of thing, and just kind of went in and out from that for about a year. But then it wasn't until I was with a small business that asked me to run a pay-per-click campaign with them with Google. And that kind of got the ball rolling, where I started getting in there and started doing some really work in internet marketing. And that kind of slowly developed into SEO and other things down the line.
Sweet. Wow, that's so cool. Pokemon.
Yeah.
Not every day you make a website about that, but sweet, buddy. So, all right, let's dive right into it. For everybody that's starting out, let's just kind of start with the basics. What is a Google My Business local business page?
Yeah, Google My Business, Google Local Business page. It's the name's changing quite frequently. When they went to Google My Business, what they kind of did was consolidate all these different Google properties. So now businesses have this like one main go-to property, which kind of encompasses their YouTube, their local listing. And the other thing that makes it unique compared to any other type of property is it's one of the few properties that will show up in maps. It can show up in the organic search. You could actually, have an audience and show up in search results based on the people that are interacting with your page. So it has a lot of functionality and a lot of different uses, but it's definitely something that you want to look at if you're a local business.
Yeah, exactly. And like you just said, I mean, it's got everything intertwined into it. For a new business starting out, like a whatever the case may be, like a law firm or a chiropractic office, whatever. I mean, how important is it to have a Google My Business local page? Is it a must? Is it something that, a business just starting out, if there's any business owners watching or listening today, do they need it, or can they get by without it?
Yeah, I think it's one of the easiest things to get your business more exposure online, especially with Google. A lot of people focus on SEO, pay-per-click, other forms of exposure for their company. But for Google My Business, that is essentially the most direct way. You're essentially just telling Google, this is my business, and this is where we're located. And you're essentially a part of the Google local listing, the Google Maps, the Google database. So when people are searching for your business in that area, that's what Google wants to display. And especially when you look at the way SEO and the search engines are changing, you see things like the ribbon coming up, the black thing, for restaurants, and they've been experimenting with all different types of things. But the one thing you'll notice is when Google now, you see them testing new things, it almost always comes down to that local page, that Google My Business page is somehow incorporated in that. And you could see it just really stresses the importance of having that set up properly, because down the line, that could be the number one SEO. That could be the go-to spot. SEO is still very, very popular, very profitable. But like I said, the local business has so much functionality, and Google My Business is gaining more and more importance every day. So I definitely think it's something. It's kind of a necessity, I would say, especially moving forward as things change. Most definitely.
Definitely, and like you just said, I mean, you mentioned maps, and maps is, as we know, the way people are searching right now, it's moving so much. It's over 50, 50-60% is actually happening on a mobile device like an iPhone or Android phone as well. So,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with having the Google My Business page, when somebody's doing a search for, like I mentioned, chiropractor, Miami or something like that, those search results are almost having precedence over organic search results because you have organic and then about a 3-pack of maps. So like you said, it's definitely becoming a necessity. And this is something we talked about last episode in episode number 4 of the SERP Concierge Show with Mike Crest about local client consulting and the importance of this, having it in maps. So let's get into more of a technical thing now. Let's try to figure out, how does one go about, if it's a business owner or an SEO doing client consulting, how do they go in and set it up now? Like, what does it take? What do you need, before you get started? How do you get set up? Like, walk us through, graphics or copy, text copy that you need, or, start from the beginning if you could.
Yeah, I mean, setting up a Google My Business page is actually very simple. All you need, if you have a Gmail account and a Google Plus account, you just go into your Google Plus account. There is a drop down bar. It comes when you hover your arrow over the left side, and if you go down, you'll see at the bottom it just says Pages. You click on that, and then in the upper left hand side, there's a button that says Create Your Page. And at that point, you're pretty much just step by step. It'll tell you what you need to set it up. Essentially, at that point, you really just have to focus on what type of business you are promoting and what the end goal, what the end result is, because you can choose between a storefront, a service area, and a brand. The main difference between the three is essentially the storefront will show the address. The service area will show the city and state, but won't show the street address. And the brand doesn't have an address. That's just like a brand account. And you pick one of those and you go in there. If you have an address, they do require you to verify an address now. So you have to get the postcard and you put in a little, I believe it's a 6-digit number to verify the account. And you want to put little info in their description, link to your website, your social media, and you're pretty much off and running at that point. It's really not that difficult to get set up.
And that's a good point. I mean, it's not that difficult, and a lot of businesses you find these days might not have it. So this is an easy thing that an SEO doing local client consulting can do for business as part of the charge for doing the SEO, or as a separate add-on that they can tack on as well. Like you said, the description is something that's really important with Google Local My Business, to have it as full as possible. They give you, like, I don't know how many words, like thousands of words, obviously, or characters or whatnot. So definitely when you're doing the Google Local My Business description part, maximize it as much as you can. Don't really keyword stuff it, but definitely do synonyms, LSIs, to kind of capture more of that, so Google kind of understands what your business is about. And same with the description. Yeah, and same with the descriptions not with the description, with the categories as well. Categories max out at around 10 categories, so it's also good that I've done in the past to maximize the categories as well, to kind of capture that. And once you do that, like you said, you get set up pretty quick, and then it's pretty much linked. One good thing that we would suggest is having a link, obviously, from the Google business page to your website, and then obviously from your website linking back out to the Google page, and having that kind of interlinking with your social media profiles. And that's something we'll talk about on a future show as well. but making sure that's all interlinked as well. You definitely talked about getting it verified and them sending a postcard, which they do within they're pretty quick. Even in Canada or the US, it's within 7 days. But what about, this is something you've talked about on a video that you've made, getting verified without having a physical address. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that possible? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, on SERPfocus.com, I put together a website or a video that talks about a few different methods of getting verified for a local address that doesn't require you to actually have an address there. And this is a very popular topic that's been going on
for sure
since maps came around, pretty much. And really, it comes down to black hat tactics. Is that obviously if you're putting something on maps that doesn't exist, that's Google doesn't want it there. So, this isn't the right way to do things, but it's definitely possible. And there's definitely a lot of money in it for lead generation and things like that. Really what it comes down to is finding those loopholes in Google's system. The main strategy that I talk about is the fact that you can create local listings. And just anyone, even right now, you can just go on a map, even on your cell phone. You don't even have to be on a computer. Just go on the maps and just make edits. You can move listings around. You can just press and hold and make a new listing from scratch. And I don't know if it's just the way they're monitoring it right now, but those they get approved and they go through. And like I said, there's many different methods. I talk about a few of them in the video. But really, at the end of the day, those are going to eventually stop working. And everything that's considered completely black hat. Now, if you don't have an address, though, if you want to legitimately get a listing and you don't have an address, you can get a virtual address, virtual office, which is pretty much your safest way, 100%, because Google's made some claims about you're not allowed to use a virtual office. You are, but they make all different types of things that are contradictory. But at the end of the day, if you have a virtual office and you can conduct business at that address, they can't really exclude you from the map at all, because it puts other true, reputable businesses that are operating out of locations at risk. If they do have a virtual office that they pay money and they operate out of there, 5 days a week. So that's the main thing that you have to think about, is if you're doing something that it's blatantly just isn't going to work, it's not going to continue to work. That's almost guaranteed. But yeah, if you don't have a business address, you can get a virtual office, and that's even very simple too. If you go to Regis, and I think you could pay just for like a month lease. You don't have to do. My business, I actually have a yearly lease that I signed up for. I receive mail there and everything. But it's changing every day. You know how Google is. So if you really just go in there and play around, you can find out a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, for some people that maybe have a home-based business or something like that, don't even have or a storefront. That's something that does get asked quite a bit, and people you even Google it, you'll find forums and things like that. People wondering how to do that. So that's a good point. Thanks so much for that. So if we're talking about Google My Business in the maps, and obviously, ranking organic is one thing, but what about now how to rank the maps listing? Okay, so now you got this maps listing, you want to rank it in the, the 7-pack, 3-pack. How do you go about ranking a Google My Business listing in the map pack?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing to point out is that when you're optimizing, when you're trying to do that, really the goal is to show up in the map section, because I mean, I've had clients that I've sold local SEO to for this, and it's like some days Google shows the 7-pack, some days it's a 3-pack, some days there's no pack. So really what it comes down to is you're doing maps SEO. It's completely different than just a standard SEO. And yeah, it's in with the organic section, but you kind of have to leave the standard SEO mindset when you're looking at ranking in the maps, because it's really about just sending the just like regular SEO, sending the correct signals, but it comes down to more having the right signals the same across the entire net to
Hmm.
see, the same thing is on Yelp, and you have the same listing on Yellow Pages, and you have the same listing on Facebook and all these different places. It's more that trust factor that, yes, this is a real business. They are operating out of this location. They are relevant for what they do or what these people are searching for, and that's what's going to increase your ranking in the maps. And oddly enough, too, your actual website that you had mentioned, linking to the website, and the optimization of the website as well communicates with your Google My Business listing and kind of tells it, what services you do. And you said even in that description, you only get so much space, so many characters. Some companies will offer, many, many different services, and you can't fit that all in just a tiny little
Hmm.
description box. So there's many different ways to optimize it on page and off page, but it's not your standard backlinking method. It's not your standard just increasing authority kind of thing. You really need to audit your listing across the web and the way that they're interacting with each other. Like you had mentioned, you want your Google Plus to link to your website. You want your website to link to your Google Plus, and you want them all to link with your Facebook and your Twitter as well. Your Google Plus should link to your Facebook and link to your Twitter, and those should link together as well, because that's kind of like your brand. You're building that trust factor that this is a company, this is the brand, this is what we do, and this is where we are. And that's what's going to give you that boost in the map section and in the local 7 pack.
That's a good point. I mean, you definitely mentioned signals, sending the right signals, and what is called an NAP, or name, address, and phone number, making
Yeah.
sure those match on your website. Obviously, the big key is the NAP, or the name, address, phone number, has to match on the Google. The Google Plus page is the de facto format that you need to match it with other places on the internet, like you had mentioned, especially on your site, and then places like Yelp, Foursquare, Yellow Pages, which are kind of called in the SEO world citations. Now, tell us more about these citations, because that's sort of the bread and butter in terms of Google Maps sort of rankings. A lot of people wonder about citations. What's the best citation to get? So, what is a citation, first of all? And how many do you need? Some people might wonder, how many do you need to rank in the Google, to help rank in the Google Maps business page?
Yeah, the whole citation thing, think of citations kind of like backlinks in a standard SEO circumstance, and it comes down to what is on the page, what content there is for the citation, as well as where those citations are coming from, the quality of the citations. If it was just a matter of having 100 websites with your business name and your address listed on it that link back to your website, you could just put up any websites and start putting up business listing information. That's why some of them hold a lot more weight, like Yelp and Yellow Pages. And really what it comes down to is kind of like the standard things that you'd look at in a regular SEO campaign that's important. Is it a business listing that is actually going to be seen? Is this somewhere that actually gets traction? If people are going to your Yelp listing and clicking through to your website, not saying that that's necessarily going to increase you in the maps position, but those are the type of things that you have to consider when you're thinking, where are good citations? Where do I want citations? Personally, I haven't seen too much of a negative effect of having many citations. On poor quality websites, there's not like a citation penguin algorithm that I've come
Right, right.
across yet, thankfully.
Thankfully.
Um, but yeah, if all you do is have those citations on the sites with the AdSense and all those other things, and you're missing your main, Yelp and Yellow Pages and Hot Frog and all the high DA, high trusted, Web 2.0s, Merchant Circle, all those ones, you're going to have a hard time competing with the top people because they're all with the reputable, sites. It's like being in the yellow pages, being in the local pages. That's what they're looking at. Or are you just in this little flimsy magazine they send out to every house that, isn't in the yellow pages
Yeah.
kind of thing,
And I mean, you mentioned like, Facebook and Yelp and the big ones now are all, places that you can get a citation from. Are they all created equal, or is it better to get, these citations or mentions, having your NAP on one type of site versus, Joe's Internet Directory.com or something like that, just a no-name type website. Where should you put your focus to make sure you're getting the most power from the citation?
Like I said, it's kind of very similar to SEO. You're looking at trust and relevance. So if you're looking at a website like Yelp, it's highly recognized, gets a lot of traffic. It's a huge directory. Everyone's on it. It's definitely a good place to have your listing. Now, if you're a local business, somewhere in like say Denver, and there's local listing companies, local magazines, other, local businesses, directory sites that are just for businesses in Denver, they might not be huge sites. I don't hear about them here, or people don't hear about them where they're at. You might not even hear about them too much in that area, but maybe it's, denverlocalbusiness.com or something like that. To have a citation on that site would be very valuable as well, because you're dealing with it's relevance and trust. It's another thing that's saying, yeah, we're on the big trusted sites like Yelp and Merchant Circle, but we're also a local business and we're in this area, so we are also networked with all the other local companies and little advertising listing citation places around this area as well. So it's definitely just a matter of trust.
That's actually a really good point, because a lot of people might focus on trying to get them on the big names like Yellow Pages or 411.com or something like that, but then they forget about, hey, try to find actually local directories like you said, in Denver or whatever, and that definitely helps, because it actually helps boost the relevance. Like you're not just getting citations from somewhere across the world. Your focus, and that shows the trust, and that builds the trust with Google. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. A point that you brought up is where to find these citation sources. One site we'll put in the show notes as well, and that I've used in the past. It's actually been really good, and I definitely highly recommend it, as you probably used it as well, as Whitespark, where you can go in, you can put in your city and keyword, and then they'll spit out all the websites that are ranking in the 7-pack for Denver massage therapy clinic or something like that. And it's super affordable. There's a plan at like $20 a month. You can jump right in there, and we'll link that from the show notes as well to you can kind of spy on your competition. It's almost like a Majestic SEO for local citations, so you can see. And what's really cool about that one is you can sort by DA or domain authority, Moz's domain authority, to kind of show you which ones you want to target first before you work your way down. And that's the thing, with SEO, you want to kind of match your competition, and then beat them with your high powered links afterwards. One thing that's built into Google My Business is something, obviously, that's super important, is reviews. And obviously businesses want to have it's a 5-star review system, and someone with a Google and to leave a review, you do need a Google Plus page to leave a review for a business. But somebody with a Google Plus page can leave a review for a business. Now, how important are these reviews to the business? And what do you recommend? New business starting out in terms of the review structure that Google's built into the My Business pages.
Yeah, reviews, they do help your rankings and exposure in the maps. They aren't the strongest signal, but they obviously do help. more importantly, though, if you're showing up and your business is gaining exposure, you don't want it to have a 1-star rating,
Right.
and and showing up on the first page of Google in your local area for your service. That's the last thing you want, and that's the type of reputation management that you can't really just outrank. That's what Google is showing. That's what they know. They're going to let the people see their reviews. The the main thing that I tell the clients I work with when it comes to the reviews. 90% of people will leave a review normally because they have a bad experience.
Hmm.
And then, the other 10%, very rare, one out of every, 10 out of every 100, maybe leave a review. Maybe
Right.
it's a close friend, someone you talk to, deal with. But the fact is having those reviews in your Google Plus listing gives you trust with the prospective clients, the customers that are searching for you, more than anything. And the main thing is too is you have to remember when people are going to Google and they're searching for a service or whatever that is, and they're going to Google because they trust Google. That's
Hmm.
what they're going there to look to see what Google says to what the answer is. If you have bad reviews on Yelp or on other things that may be showing on the first page, you have a better chance of a customer looking at that Google Plus listing and saying these reviews are great, they're flawless. It looks like they got a 2-star on Yelp, but they got a 5-star on Google. I mean, that makes a huge difference in a
Right.
customer's eyes, especially for a user. If I trusted Yelp, I'd go directly to Yelp most likely and look for the review. I know people that do that. They use Yelp for any time they need to find something, local. Um, but yeah, I highly suggest that any business were to promote reviews for their Google Plus. Get it set up, even if it's not fully optimized. Get reviews on there, and you don't necessarily too. The big thing is you don't have to get reviews from just customers. Don't have your friends come on and say, oh, they were great, they did all this stuff, and you really didn't do anything for them. But you could have a friend come on and say, I know the owner of this company is a great guy, and I highly suggest doing business with them or something like that. You didn't say anything that's not true. You can do that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. But the worst thing you can do is go and leave a bunch of fake reviews or use other accounts and leave reviews on your account. Don't I wouldn't suggest doing that at all. But it is important to get those reviews and promote the positive reviews on your Google Plus listing, most definitely.
Yeah, and Google's definitely touchy with the fake reviews and not having or link, review velocity, we'll call it, where
Mhm.
you definitely want to watch out to those watching and listening today. You want to definitely watch out not to have a mass sort of one day where you have a mass amount of reviews left on your site and then on your Google Plus page and then nothing afterwards. Because what you want to do with the reviews, as Michael was talking about, you want to keep it constant. You want to keep it consistent and even, because what happens is as soon as you start, it's almost like building links in SEO. When you start having something kind of out of the norm, Google's been known to definitely flag a lot of those reviews and wipe them out, and you've just wasted time, and you've wasted somebody else's time who's left that review or whatnot. So treat it naturally. Don't just build 30 one day and then just leave it. Kind of try to get it nice and even and spread them out, and then that way you're not flagged and having an issue with a moderator looking at it or something like that. Another
Yeah, I was gonna add in real quick.
yeah,
I usually recommend to my clients just make it a part of your follow up process with every job. Make that so
exactly.
it's when you complete the work, you promote the review, get the review, and it's just constantly that's the stream coming in. It's nice, steady, and that's exactly what you were just saying. So
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that makes perfect sense, and that keeps it natural and keeps it normal as well. And one thing I've encountered before, and I've heard a lot of people asking about, you probably heard it as well, is usually when you're first starting out, just to let everybody know, to have your star rating come up when you type company name in Google, and then you come up. You want to get right away. We talked about it. Not building too fast, but you want to try to get as fast and natural as you can 5 ratings right away, and hopefully there'll be 5-star ratings, and then at that point Google will attach that star rating to the bottom of your website in the SERPs, and from there it'll link to your Google Plus page. And then after that, what's happening, a lot of people ask is, why am I, I got these five star reviews, but I'm only normal math would tell you, oh, I'm, should be 5-star. But what Google does is it puts, 4.8, as you've probably seen. And people were wondering about that. It's something called, I hope I pronounce it right, Bayesian average, which you probably heard about, where Google's methodology or the thinking behind this is that if you have a little amount of reviews or not too many, the chances of you having a poor review is greater. So that's why they kind of they're almost assuming that you're going to have a negative review. That's why they don't give you a 5-star review for 5 actual 5-star reviews. They'll put you at a 4.8. And then if you have, 50 reviews, it's less of a chance, top 5-star reviews, there's less of a chance that you're going to have a negative review. So what happens is, at 5, you're going to be at 4.8. And then I think it's 7, you get to 4.9. And then at 10 5-star reviews, you'll get to the 5 stars. So that's their average system. And that's why you'll notice a lot of people asking, well, hey, and I was just reading online a funny story where there was one guy who had 5-star reviews, but had a 4.8, on the website, and a customer was actually accusing them of them hiding or Google hiding a negative review, which wasn't the case. It was because of this, algo type of situation where they lowered it down, and it was just a funny story. So they actually had 5-star reviews, but the customer thought they were hiding something. So, but let's go. Winded down the show today on the SERP Concierge Show with Michael Milas. What a great show we've had so far. Talk to me now about what are some mistakes that you've seen, maybe head scratchers, or you kind of like palm to the forehead, that you've seen other SEO people do, or businesses themselves do, when they create a Google My Business page. What are some of the top, or 1 or 2 things you're going like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just did that?
Honestly, the biggest thing is it's not even so much what they do. It's the fact that I've seen a lot of people, they will, make their listing, maybe verify it, and then that's it. They don't put a description. They don't put any links. Maybe they'll have their website, but they don't do anything at all. They just have this blank. I see blank, just plain listings all the time, just not being utilized. So I would say that's probably the number one thing, that's the, why not? Why would you do that kind of thing? Other than that, I do see a few that they don't use similar data across their listings, that NAP listings. They'll use different title on their Google Plus. Sometimes they'll put I forgot what they're called, an identifier or something, which Google says now you're not supposed to use, but it was okay to use before. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I've seen some people, and I actually did this on my site a while ago, just testing. They'll put like an identifier or something on their Google Plus, but then not put it on any of their other listings.
Right.
So it doesn't even really match up. The other thing is too, just like not putting the description, not putting in pictures or doing any posts. Not just utilizing all the resources there available. Now too, they have the collections, so you can organize collections of photos, and it's not just one big group of photos. You could actually put pictures of like your work, your previous work, customers, and all different, a tour of your office, and all different types of things. But yeah, for the, like I said, the main thing is just not utilizing it really at all. Just setting it up and leaving it. Or even worse, the many people I see listings just aren't even verified. there's not even claimed. I almost want to go in and change the phone number to my
Yeah.
phone number in the maps and then and then verify it.
There you go. I mean, why waste your time, getting the postcard, putting the code in, and then just leaving? Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen that, the kind of the template, the default template banner in Google with the default profile image. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
guys doing? It's not something right. So let's find out. Let me ask you this question: if you could, go back in time to when you started in SEO, not really, even related to Google My Business or whatnot. If you had an access to a mentor that was able to give you some information, so you could actually, going through your SEO career and your internet marketing career, you could avoid this mistake. What would that be? Like, what would you say? I wish somebody would have told me this when I got started. What was that what's that what could be that thing?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one because you're just constantly learning. I'm sure there's things I don't know now that I could answer 5 years from now. It's like, man, I wish I would have known that. But back before I initially got started, the two main things that wasn't really apparent to me is the amount of work it was, SEO, internet marketing in general, but how simple and easy it really is. Because you have all these different training courses and people teaching all these different methodologies and ideas, and it's so easy to just get just so locked up in what's the right thing to do that most people don't even really do anything. They don't take any action, and it's like the setting up that Google Plus listing and just leaving it and putting nothing, almost out of fear that if you put something there it might not be right or something like that. But yeah, I just wish I would have known, that taking that action, not worrying about all the penguin, panda, duplicate content, just put up content, put it all over the place. You don't have to worry about changing it or, doing anything fancy. It's really just a matter of doing it, setting up that listing, putting a description, linking it to the website, setting up a Facebook. You don't have to focus on the minor details to get a start. I spent a long time trying to gain traction because I was looking at the details so hard that I just wasn't seeing the big picture, which was just setting the thing up and doing it. So
yeah, I mean, it's there's, like you said, there's so many, courses, and it's information overload, seriously. And, just because I guess the nature of it as well, because things are changing constantly. You have to keep up with Google algo updates and new affiliate marketing, promotions and things like that. So and that's exactly right. I totally agree with you. I was the same way. I was trying to make things perfect, and just trying to, always felt that there was, I didn't know enough. You know what I mean? Before, and now it's like, just take action. Like, build your first WordPress site. The best way to learn is to make that mistake, because that's, like anything in life, even SEO, you just have to get out there, try a few sites, try to rank, try to, get things done. And that's how you're going to grow, and that's how you're going to be better. And that's how, you're going to build more confidence, because, you're not afraid to, failure is not failing. I mean, it's a way to know not to do that thing again. So it's life telling you, take a different direction. So definitely, I agree with you, and I was, kind of in the same boat. So
awesome, yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Michael, so much again for coming on the show, the SERP Concierge Show today. Is there any way, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they, any best methods to get in touch with you?
Yeah, if they Facebook, my Facebook group, SERP Focus, is probably the best place. I'm always in there. I'm talking, answering questions, especially if someone's looking for help with SEO, local listings, or anything like that. That's the best place to do it, because I don't like to keep everything to myself. I like to share it. So if we're going to discuss something, I like to put it out there in the open so everyone can get a piece of it too. But yeah, other than that, like I say, you search SERP Focus in the Facebook group, or private message me. I'm sure you can find me, Michael Milas, on Facebook. Facebook's all around best way, just because it's hooked up my phone and everything else. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you again, buddy, for coming on the show, and thanks to everybody else.
Sam.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in today, and we'll have definitely some more great content in upcoming episodes, and hopefully we can have you in an upcoming episode to talk about a different topic. I'd love to have you back. So thank you again.
I'd love to be back.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to you soon, buddy. You take care.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do share it. The Pure Value amazing content does not end there, though. You can now watch more amazing episodes that are in the boxes beside me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now for more amazing content as it comes out.